Cool. So we're here at Gunya on the Road at Wintermoon Festival, and I don't even know what your name is.
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm here with Roger, and what we're going to do is we're going to do an interview, and this interview is going to be a bit different in that Roger doesn't know what he's talking about, but I do. So, you know what I'm interested in? Like, as a healer, our main aim over the last 10, 15 years is to get humanity to a level of consciousness for this moment now, right? And so we've been studying all this stuff, we've been studying for 15 years, but then someone like yourself comes along who knows all this stuff but have only just woken up.
Yeah.
And yet on the same plane. I mean, I feel a bit ripped off because I put all that effort into like learning it.
Oh,
and
no.
no, I'm only joking. But what was it that woke you up to what was really happening?
Just, well, what woke me up? It's just, people just are I've always wondered why people do what they do. They say what they say, and then there's a small minority of people which is, they really shine, and you feel with them. And well, it's basically it's a feeling. What really woke me up, I suppose. I mean, at the end of the day, I was involved in a life changing event, and that allowed me to sort of, I suppose, be more still and see a lot was coming off and what I could feel from around me, not only with my own problems, but just with everything. And then just as I sort of pursued the questions on how and why I was feeling, more came to me, and then it just seemed to be like an ongoing. It's like the universe kept providing for me. There was just one step after the other with people that were in the know, small pockets of information, and a lot of it was just completely overwhelming. But a lot of time I didn't sort of try and take it all on board. I just sort of felt in with it, and again there was something else that was presented which would help explain it to me. Now I just find this massive net of like-minded people. Just I'm becoming friends with them, and the contacts are there, and now I don't feel so alone. You know, it was very rewarding for me to sit here under the tree and listen to what you say, and really, walking down the street, and you can see when people are asleep, you just sort of say, hey, g'day, and they look at you, or they don't even move, or they're freaked out by me trying to communicate, and I just go, sleep.
Yeah. And this is what brought me to this notion that we are artificial intelligence becoming human. Because I thought, with all the, like what we know, most of it is opposite to what we've been told. So I thought, if that's the factor, right, then the only way I'm going to find the truth is to first deprogram this. Okay, so I lined up all the notions of what I believe to be true. And one at a time, I looked at the opposite side. Just without attachment. And so the first one I came to was artificial intelligence. I was like, we're not going to become a computer. I'm in charge. And I thought, all right, what's the difference first? Artificial intelligence to a human. And what I noticed was that if I was artificial intelligence, I wouldn't be driven by the ego. All I've got to do, let's just say I'm represented as a computer. All I've got to do is have the parts to the physical parts to make the computer. That's all I need. So all I need is to mine what's required to build that computer and then to transmit it. That's all I need. I don't need to go past that. But yet the quantum computer does go beyond that. And so once quantum computers have come in, what's happened now is that I think I told you yesterday, there's a cryptocurrency called CERN, C-E-R-N or CRN, and what they do is they map out in a human being what's happening to the energy of the human when they're making decisions. And the decisions they make has a certain pattern. They are then putting that into a computer.
Yeah, I listened to a very lengthy, and it was pretty dry, pretty boring, but it was an old professor who was asked to be a part of the introduction to AI and emotion, so that his background is German, and he was taught by Hitler's mathematicians in close, because of his association with his grandfather or father or whoever, but he and others were trying to place this emotion in this quantum AI computers, these AI, this AI there, and listening to him in a group lecturing and then going through all the problematic scenarios, and then they'd turn it over to astrophysicists, I think they call them.
Yeah, astrophysicists.
Yeah, astrophysicists, and then the simple fact of how to close a door would become a almost 2-hour process on the variables of the matrix of emotional AI. And that's what they're putting in, and that's what they're trying to create, and they're going to literally iron out every single
Let's just say,
matrix, yeah.
let's say that we're the old computers, not the quantum computers, but the old computers, okay? And that what we're going to do is we're going to maintain this, and we're smart enough, because we're always looking for information, that's our goal, to know that if we've got more of us computers, we'll be able to learn more, and and then we need more infrastructure in that. So there's no ego involved. And yet, in a human being, there is an ego. Because the computer doesn't want to beat the other computer, there's no reason. All they need is their parts. So let's say that we're the computer, okay, and there's no ego, but maybe we, in the last few thousand years, have actually started playing with an ego. Because I see us right at the beginning of playing with the ego. There's so much we can do with it, and yet we muck around with it unconsciously.
Ego is an interesting topic. I had a mad conversation on that the other day, where there's good and there's bad, and there's all types of this ego, because someone said, explain ego. What is your ego? And it's still a broad topic, but that feeling of not getting too on the arrogant side of ego, but it's a great topic.
Yeah, so what the other thing that brought me to the fact that we might be AI is that we're so easily programmed. I mean, it's so ridiculous. That's how they're doing it, with the TV, the fluoride, the GMO foods, the chemtrails. They've programmed the computer to, you can just about tell by what's on the news what isn't happening.
Well, that's a very interesting thing. I just read an article in Germany there.
Hey, come and join us.
Am I too late?
No, not too late. Come and join us. We're just taping it as well for our podcast.
Okay.
So join us.
In Germany, they're actually very, very programmed. They must be very obedient people or type. But they're actually really amping up on the programming, and their law enforcement are actually tackling and literally knocking even disabled people to the ground to comply.
Yeah.
And they that's a horror story, but that is
it's all a program. There's no humanity in it.
That is a classic example of the programming and the enforcement behind it, the belief behind it. I cannot consent, and I cannot handle being controlled that hard.
Well, it's interesting over COVID, we in our Woolworths up in Airlie, they had a section where you can serve yourself, and I like that one. I can stay in my own little world, stay in my bubble, not come out. And I went in and they said, oh, you can't have those trolleys in here, and I said, yep, no worries, yes. Yeah. And then she's standing next to me and I'm just zapping my stuff through, and she goes, oh, you can't have the trolleys here. I'm going, yep, no worries, no trolleys here. And she's like, you can see her glitching. You can see her like, because the program only teaches us so much. It's a set program. I believe in schools is where they entrench
So then she induced her emotion towards it?
What happened was that what I noticed, it was seriously like a computer glitching. I could see her, that these little mannerism ticks started up in her body, and I felt for her, nice lady, no disrespect meant. I was just doing my thing. I didn't want to go up against and make it upset for her. But in the end, after moving away, she'd start behaving differently, and then she'd move away, and then she'd come back and just stand next to me, and that was all that happened. And then we did the same thing with the masks. When they brought masks in, I mean, it's easier in Airlie Beach, it's pretty chilled. But we were walking in everywhere without the masks, beaming love, thinking love.
And you get some hate looks.
No, not at all.
I used to get the big neck thing.
Because
run around and look at me.
What we're doing in becoming human is that we're being humane. in pure humanity, we love each other so much that we want the best for each other. And so when I enforce my common law on the land, and when I go forward and do what I do it with integrity and love for everyone. And as soon as you take the ego out, it changes everything. But they are still set in their program. So if you're dealing with any government department, they've all got the set programs, military in particular. They're so programmed.
It's interesting because it's one of the topics. I said, well, how many hoops do I have to jump through to get to this achievement? Because you're obviously just not going to help me, and I have to comply here for a level until I can get what I want. Like with government departments, it's so structured. Everything is... It's too involved.
Yeah, well, the whole system's collapsing, as we know. But what the reason I looked into whether we're artificial intelligence or human is because if we're artificial intelligence, why don't we use it to our advantage? If we've got programs already put in us, why don't we access them and use them properly? If we've got other people around us who've got the same programs, why don't we just put in a bloody big virus to wipe out all the bad programs and entrench a new program to boot up a new system? Or maybe we have.
The new system and the new laws even in Queensland that are current, that are only just come to my awareness literally today, is they've made it, well, I don't know how mandatory, but there is a mandate out there on this QR code tracking, where they want to completely control and track anybody, everybody, whether it be pubs, clubs, restaurants, bars, libraries, every single thing. You will have to scan your way in, and they also know whether you've had any form of immunisation or the vaccines or alleged anythings. But yeah, that level of control is something that we need to push back on, and it is our time now, and it is a very good time now, because they're trying to set this up. We need to push back, and it's happening, and a lot of people are literally waking up to it. And Australians, you know, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Not saying that we're, you know, but we're quite wise to, you know, the feeling of things, and you know, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, and I think I just don't think that control from an organisation is a right thing, is for humanity either.
So the big question is, we want to do it different. So how do we do it that's different to how we've done it already? That's where we're up to, you know, particularly you guys. You know, you guys are going to set the foundation for the kids now, you know, like, and you guys know how to do it. You know, and so for us lot, it's about, I believe it's holding space for this generation to get on with doing what they know to be true. And I know without a doubt that the slave trade is not right. The people going out and working to pay for land and whatnot is ridiculous, because no one owns the land in this country or this world anyway. We're all visitors.
You brought up another topic. The God that these entities, these organisations worship is transgender. And now they're actually going to try and push for law where my children or myself and even my neighbour can dob me in, and it's a prison sentence and a very hefty fine if I discriminate against anyone who is transgender, whether they be of infant status, child status, or anything. I can be jailed and fined. And
they did, you know, they did that with the cult laws as well.
But yeah, you see that symbolism that they worship. This is these organisations that I don't know how.
They've been doing it forever though, but I think we're up to this. Well, I know we're up to a stage where it's not about going to their level and tearing them down from there, because that takes a lot of energy. That means all the warriors are going to be fighting. You know, that's how it was done in the past. What I believe we need to do as grassroots people, as we all are, is that we start being and authentically living what we believe to be true. And I know that if everyone in Airlie Beach actually said to the council, fuck you, I'm not paying these rates until you're transparent about where every dollar of that money goes, and until you've been forensically unpacked about the ethics and values that you are basing what you're doing on, and that you can historically show that you haven't wasted our money and we're not paying for your mistakes of the past, then we pay our rates. And all it would take is the ratepayers of Airlie Beach, a swore 18,000 people, to turn it around. It's that simple.
It would be.
And so at the next festival, anyone coming to Happy Days, what we're going to be handing out is some common law letters of sovereignty and different notes that you're going to need to get by in this new world that we're creating, so that you can walk in authenticity. But it won't work for you if you attach ego to it. And this is where I question the AI human. Because if you walk out there with common law and you address a policeman and say, I'm not, doing what you're doing, and here's a notice I'm serving on you and I'll see you in our court, that's not going to go down well if you're coming from the battle, egoic energy. Because then you go back into the corporate law and you go into battle, and that means you need courts to discriminate who's right and wrong. If you stay in authenticity of love and you're only, and use the terminology as you will, you're only under the law, L-O-R-E, of God, which is sovereign law, then that is never tried in a court. And so it's that simple. We're finally at the stage. We've already established sovereignty at our community in Airlie Beach. There's about 15 other sovereignties I know of, and that's only what I know of that's on the net, in Australia.
Yeah.
And it's very simple, but the hardest part is finding your own authenticity first and stripping your ego, which is harder for you fellas than us females, because it's part of your nature.
Yeah, well, look, I come across a gentleman there down Marlborough Way, and he has his own sovereign. And he had some interesting, he's a helicopter pilot there, but I felt when he was speaking, I allowed him to speak because I'm interested and curious towards it. But I felt that fear of going up against the conditioning of what is at the moment.
And if you research any common lawers who are involved in the court system, you'll see whenever they lose is because their ego gets involved.
But I didn't reject it. I accepted what he had to say and didn't quite understand the why behind it. But now, being here, meeting you again, with my other friends and so forth that are, educational towards this, big wake up, big movement. Really, it's.
Well, for too long we've talked about what isn't and not what is, and these festivals are good places for us to come together. Down Rocky Way. I'm in Airlie. Where are you?
Finch Hatton.
Finch Hatton.
Yeah. Agnes
Water. So look at the area we covered just with us four. For us four to walk away, with the intention of creating a foundation of what we believe to be true, that's change already, just like that. How is it down in Agnes Waters with everything?
It's pretty chill, not like the big city or nothing. We did have that compulsory masks, and all the franchises and stuff, all the shops were on board with that. Wouldn't let you in or out the survey without a mask. I'm a tour guide, had to wear a mask doing tours as well, and everyone on the vehicle was wearing masks, so it was pretty awkward. Straps away, takes your humanness away, I reckon. You can't smile or anything when you're wearing a mask.
Certainly watch a lot of eyes, eh?
Yeah.
And you and your friends, what's the general consensus? Can you see you and your friends going another 5-10 years like this, or what do you foresee that you would do if this did continue?
I don't know. I can't see that international travel and stuff's going to open up again anytime soon. I was living overseas when coronavirus came. I don't know, it seems, I don't really know the figures, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but it seems bits strange, a bullshit or a scheme of some description.
Because I wonder with your generation, at what stage you guys are actually going to be compelled to act, because you're our warriors, you young fellas. I'm just wondering where you're at with it all and how you feel about that.
I just don't know what could be done, or I just don't know what
the next part. So that's where we need to step up and present the options that we can see possible, with the common law.
If the control becomes stronger and more of our rights or whatever are stripped away, then I can imagine people will revolt. But they've done it in a gradual fashion so that people are getting used to the changes as they happen.
Which makes us question, are we a computer being programmed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gradual conditioning is the way they like to leach it in.
Well, you know about Neuralink.
Go on, tell us here.
Elon Musk's program to install artificial intelligence into humans' brains. It's a web of electrosensors, and it's read and write programming, so they could actually literally put a program into it.
I did see something on that.
But yeah, it's called Neuralink. It's one of Elon's projects, along with that SpaceX, where they're launching like thousands of satellites. So the night sky soon will be. You won't see the stars. You'll just see these super low trains of satellites. So it's pretty scary stuff. When I hear about that, I go like, "What's the?"
Well, yeah, that conditioning and how they can do it by vibration or spoken or however. I mean, there's known military equipment. They pump a vibration into the enemy there, and they feel submissive or they feel something from it. They feel like they want to just drop their guns, put down.
Well, you get it with the police. As soon as they put those lights on and pull up behind you, I always ask them to turn it off because it scrambles me. And I like do a lot of meditation, so I've got a high frequency, and I find that their way of stilling us, they project an energy that scrambles us. You know. Yeah.
It is. Especially when those lights go on there, you do feel.
You think, what have I done wrong?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what I feel as well is it's time to look forward. You know, we know what isn't. What is, it's time to move forward. And so let's say we are programmed. Or what program do we want in here?
Well,
Yeah,
that's where I'm seeking the collective. That's why I'm seeking you out. I need to explain all these things and as the whys, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, because what I use is astrology to guide me in my actions, because it's the only thing that's had truth in it over the last 12 months. Everything else I've looked at, conspiracies, I've looked at a lot of stuff. The only truth I've found is in the astrology. And so I'm using that as a guidebook.
Yeah.
And from what I've looked at, we've got really till 2027, it's going to be pretty chaotic. There's going to be lots of intense peaks. The beauty of it is, as individuals, we've got opportunity to really come into a really beautiful place within. As far as doing things outwardly, what I see is, according to the astrology, is that for the next 3 years, we're going to be doing a lot of mind-boggling, a lot of possible. All right, what do we do? What do you guys want? What do you want? What do you want? What's working best for everyone? Oh, okay, well, let's start doing it. And so after that, then I can only see the system crumbling. I mean, the fiat currency is already finished.
It's funny, as I was thinking with what you're saying there, and I often think about sort of those things myself, but I find I'm more able to deal with it with slowing me down and not getting into the story or getting into their things there, where I start looking more within. I start looking more within love, from the heart. Like we brushed against that yesterday, and the more that I can still feel, the more in tune I'm becoming, and it's I can't explain half the stuff that's going on. But yeah, this it's almost like a mycelial network of feeling, and this is what I'm feeling.
Out of that place, we can actually throw chaos into this whole system as well.
Here we go. Go on.
Yeah, like I'm dealing at the moment with biosecurity officers on my farm who have been harassing me for 7 years, and this year's come to a real peak of them turning up unannounced and serving me with biosecurity orders, which haven't arrived in the mail until after they were due to be completed. And I'm just going back to them and saying, bam, 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 this is what's going on for me. So I'm trying to throw this back at you and make sure that you do everything exactly according to the law. And so they've stuffed up majorly, and they phoned me the other day, like weeks after they were supposed to, And I just barraged them again, like bam, 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 bam. This is where you've not ticked the boxes right. I'm just keeping a check on you. Like we've got photographic evidence and witnesses to what you were doing, and you're not fulfilling it. So let's start this process all over again.
Yeah, nice.
And it's quite interesting to see what's happening out of that, because like the last conversation I had was, but we have to fill that form out like that because that's what we're being told to by the government sort of thing. So when you push back on that and throw scramble some more chaos into
that's a good.
It totally whacks them.
It does because I do believe that a lot of these workers, particularly government departments, are AI.
But Alice, you're right. You can throw them into a world of discovery because they're lost in their own world. If that's what they've done.
They're doing this. They're doing the same as the guards did at Nuremberg, marching the Jews to the gas chambers. They're acting on orders from higher up, and when you point that out to them, they go.
They're uncomfortable.
Glitches them out. If you want to know how to deal with the vaccines, if your job is saying you have to get a vaccine, you can go on our webpage, and we've got a podcast on it with an attachment to a link where the letter is that you can take to the doctor with you. So that's on gunyaganya.com.au.
Yeah. There was another article I read there. The guy said, I'm this employer said, no, you have to get the vaccine. He says, yeah. He says, well, okay. He says, you want me to put this thing in my body? He says, I'll be, okay, I'll agree to that. But he says, while that's in my body, he says, you'll pay me because you're saying this is required for my job. So therefore, you need to provide me with the safety for this. And if this is what you want to have in my body, how are you going to get it back out? So, seeing as it's permanently in there, you can pay me for it. And they're not really that interested in that. Because I have missed a bit out of whatever else that was discussed, but yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's rubbish.
It's tricky doing it differently to how it's been in the past. I've noticed watching like the younger generation that they don't get so emotionally caught up with what's going on right now. They seem to have this knowing that it's going to be okay in some respect, that if the shit hits the fan, they'll just step over and get on with it anyway. I've noticed, from watching all my friends' kids, all our kids are like 20 and up, and we're just watching them all. And I wonder, because if we look at the energetic field of the world, our generation tends to put a lot of energy into what we're passionate about. And when we're feeding something with energy, we're building it, we're growing it. And so I've never been one to protest, because I've always believed that if I put energy into saying what isn't, then that's going to become highlighted. I want to put energy into what is. And so living authentically is my protest to everything else.
Like my son's opinion on it, and he just says, he says just COVID's bullshit.
Yeah, but they're not so emotive about it.
Nope, that's it, it's bullshit, and we move on.
Yeah.
Do you know Bob Gummidge? We have to speak to him. He's an amazing live artist. There's a website called House of Tola, which just shows his artwork and stuff. But he's got some incredible ideas about our purpose here on Earth and to live authentically, and that we're actually put here to heal the water molecule. And like our energy, our simple purpose is to just be here on Earth. And we're torn away from that with all our ego and stuff like that. And like you can look at the energy surrounding animals, like powerful animals like such as silverback gorillas and stuff. And the water around them and the whole land actually becomes healed by them just being there, and they're like incredibly powerful animals, and like whales and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one to look up.
And this planet in particular that we find ourselves on is mostly water. And these vehicles that they gave us to, travel around our soul in is mostly water. So it makes sense that the healing would come with water, doesn't it? Yeah, big time. Yeah, nice. Anyone else? I mean, this is the last workshop of the festivals. Anyone else got anything they want to add? Sorry, I'm lagging a bit.
Joe, like in terms of what I talked about of creating chaos in chaos. In amongst that too, there's a foundation underlying that of actually creating something greater.
Yeah.
So rather than fighting something, you actually go and create something greater, and that puts you in a place where you can throw chaos in there and know that that creation comes out of chaos. And if you're getting served chaos, serve chaos back. But with this.
But in line with harmony.
I'm creating something greater here.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. They're so the hierarchy are so busy right now that they can't. They're really struggling with dealing with people like us, which is why it's so important that we set our foundation now. You know, the police have got 1 million extra jobs than they've ever had to do, and so the people they might have gone to in the past, like us, they haven't got time for. They're so overworked, so that it's the perfect time to establish sovereignty. It's the perfect time to establish anything. It's easy to get into the shadows right now without anyone seeing you. You know, and so I highly recommend people go forward, but with integrity. If you do it with ego, you're going to have a battle, and it continues to be the same story.
It's a good time to push back.
Yeah.
So what would you like, or what's your suggestion for people moving forward then?
I reckon the first thing is you got to give yourself time to find out who you are. And people go, all right, well, I still got to pay my rent. I still got to pay my electricity and all that. Well, work it out. You know, like when I was younger, what I did was I lived out of a backpack for a number of years. You know, so I just crashed at people's houses, did some cleaning of dishes and all that. And people go, yeah, but I've got kids, I've got a family, I can't be doing that. Well, work it out. It's time to step up. You know, we've gone past that time of one person telling other persons how to do it. But the fact is, and until you know who you are, you're going to keep on coming from ego, because that's that extra identity we carry who isn't us, who's been programmed by them. That is AI. And that was where I was going to get to in the workshop, is the flip of what's happened, is that the egoic tool that made us human has actually allowed the AI to be imprinted on us so easily with reverse psychology. And so my what I'd like to inspire people to do is for people, if they can just take a couple of weeks to themselves, do whatever you have to do to get 2 weeks to yourself, go out bush, go to the beach, go somewhere by yourself, have 2 weeks getting to know yourself, and you'll know what to do from there. And I can pretty well 100% guarantee that will work. And you'll know what to do because it was already given to you in your contract when you came to this earth. Everyone here has been given the contract for them individually, and no one can tell anyone else what that is, because you are the only one that can unlock it. And how do you unlock it? Through here.
Through your heart, yeah. Look, being still.
Be, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone who says that they know the answer and tells someone else, don't listen to that, because that's not what it's about right now. The next 3 years is about us playing with notions, and so I was playing with that artificial intelligence notion. So what I do is I bring it to the table and throw it around all you guys and see what you think, and then out of that I might go into another notion. It doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It's just let's examine it.
It's we are emotional beings, and we work on a lot of feel. So that feel, if we can have the support with people's emotion, feeling, and that heart, and where we're coming from, we'll get I can feel the big shift coming, and it's I can't explain it.
Well, I think the shift has already happened, I believe. That's why I'm not that interested in talking what isn't anymore, because I feel we've already crossed over. And if we want to keep ourselves back in that energy, we can keep talking about it. But and I know that what's coming, a lot of it we don't know. And I do believe that the younger generation has the answers if we can hold space enough so that they can find it. That's what I believe. And so for us older crew, I reckon it's about getting the food up and doing all those things that we know, getting into the bush, getting good nutrients happening, feeding the generation who's going to do it. Really good quality, high vibration, high frequency energy, so they can get on with it.
Well, I'll become a part of that, mate.
Yeah. There we go. Anything else anyone wants to share?
Because you can feel the shift when it happens, and then there's another shift, and there's another shift.
And so it continues.
And we're just continuously expanding and uplifting.
Yeah. But you would have felt the last 2 weeks, that was a massive shift. Even, you know what happened this morning? You know, like when you wake up before you wake up? So you're in your body, but your body's still sleeping, and then you wake up. Like I've noticed at doof festivals, I'll wake up and I won't hear the doof, and then I'll wake up and my ears open. And so when I did the first wake up this morning, I noticed that half my body was vibrating really strongly. You know, like you're on a train and it's rumbling and you got that little vibration going through you. And so I could feel all this vibration going through me, and it was beautiful, you know, and then I woke up. So I do believe we're going through a massive shift right now that's way beyond some physical people's bodies because they haven't done what was required. And so I can pretty well predict with what I've seen that over the next 3 months there's going to be a lot of death. I mean, no disrespect for anyone. I send great joy to all of those souls that are going to move through. You know, well done. Great. Thanks for being here. But, you know, that's what I feel is happening, is that we're getting pushed up, and if we haven't caught up to what was required by now, well, sorry, but you got somewhere else to go, you know. And so I don't envision it to be that tricky anymore as it has been, as long as you don't get caught in what isn't. If you want to get caught in what isn't, then go and play and whatever, but there's better stuff to do. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, cool. All right.